Welcome to this deep dive into the future of Bitcoin.
Right.
We're going way beyond, those usual headlines
Yeah.
and exploring some seriously thought-provoking ideas
Right.
about where this whole technology is headed.
Okay.
Our guide today is Fred Thiel.
Okay.
He's the CEO of Marathon Digital Holdings.
Interesting.
And he gave this incredibly insightful interview recently.
Okay, cool.
Are you ready to have all your assumptions challenged?
Yeah, let's do it.
Buckle up, because we're about to cover everything.
Okay.
From nation-state adoption to Bitcoin's surprising role in energy harvesting and AI.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So what struck me right away was
Right.
Marathon strategy.
Yeah.
They're not just mining Bitcoin.
Right.
They're holding on to over 20,000 BTC in their treasury.
Wow.
That's a bold move, even among companies who are
Right.
bullish on Bitcoin.
20,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Most companies are just laser focused on, quarterly profits, not long-term plays like this at all.
Yeah. So what is the thinking behind Marathon's approach? Well, they're betting big on Bitcoin's future value,
Okay.
and they're taking a very strategic approach to acquiring it.
Uh-huh.
They're even mining other cryptocurrencies,
What?
specifically Caspa,
Really?
as a way to acquire more Bitcoin at a discount.
Mining other cryptos.
Yep.
Isn't that heresy for Bitcoin maximalists? I mean, how did that go over?
It definitely stirred up some controversy.
Right.
The purists argue that any focus outside of Bitcoin dilutes the ecosystem's value.
Mm-hmm.
But Marathon contends that by maximizing their mining profits,
Okay.
they can ultimately acquire more Bitcoin,
Uh-huh.
which in turn benefits the entire ecosystem.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's a fascinating debate about how value is created and where to focus resources within the crypto world.
I see.
And for investors, this strategy could actually translate into a higher potential return,
Okay.
making Marathon a more attractive option in the long run.
So is Marathon like a canary in the coal mine for institutional adoption?
Okay.
Are we about to see a wave of companies shifting their financial strategies to embrace Bitcoin?
There are definitely signs that institutional interest is growing.
Okay.
One major catalyst has been the recent change in accounting rules.
Mm.
Companies can now report the fair market value of their Bitcoin holdings,
Okay.
which makes it much more attractive to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But are ETFs really a guaranteed win for Bitcoin?
Hmm.
I've heard some people argue they could lead to more manipulation and centralization.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
ETFs are a double-edged sword.
I see.
On one hand, they make it easier for institutional investors like pension funds
Oh.
to gain exposure to Bitcoin,
Mhm.
which could unlock trillions of dollars in new capital.
Wow.
But on the other hand, this influx of capital
Mm.
could increase market volatility and make Bitcoin more susceptible to manipulation.
Speaking of big money flowing into Bitcoin,
Okay.
even Donald Trump seems to be coming around. He's speaking at Bitcoin 2024.
Oh, wow.
And there's talk of the United States establishing a national Bitcoin reserve.
Interesting.
Is that even realistic?
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Okay.
The U.S. already holds massive gold reserves,
Yeah.
and historically, gold has played a similar role to Bitcoin as a safe haven asset
Mm-hmm.
and a store of value.
Okay.
The decline of the petrodollar,
Okay.
with oil-producing countries no longer relying on pricing oil in U.S. dollars,
Mm-hmm.
further incentivizes the U.S. to explore alternatives.
I see.
And this surge in ETF interest could be making it more politically palatable for figures like Trump to embrace Bitcoin.
So the U.S. holding Bitcoin could be a major power move
Yeah,
on the global financial stage.
absolutely.
Wow.
It could trigger a domino effect with other countries rushing to acquire Bitcoin reserves.
Okay.
This could have a profound impact on global power dynamics
Mm-hmm.
and even the effectiveness of sanctions.
Wow.
It's a whole new geopolitical game with Bitcoin as a key player,
It's incredible to think that Bitcoin,
which started as this fringe internet currency,
right.
could reshape global finance and international relations.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the potential impact goes even further.
Really?
Fred Thiel argues that Bitcoin can play a vital role in energy harvesting and sustainability.
Okay.
He even called it a global bounty program for energy efficiency.
Now that's intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm all ears.
Okay.
How does Bitcoin incentivize energy efficiency?
Well, let me tell you.
Okay.
Bitcoin mining can actually incentivize the use of otherwise wasted energy.
Okay.
Think of it as a way to capture and monetize energy that would normally just disappear.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
Give me like a concrete example.
Imagine a factory with excess heat
Okay.
as a byproduct of its operations.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of venting that heat into the atmosphere,
Right.
they can use it to power a Bitcoin mining operation,
Okay.
offsetting their energy costs and reducing their environmental impact.
So instead of being this like energy hog,
Bitcoin mining could actually be a driver of sustainability.
exactly.
Are there real-world examples of this happening?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Marathon is already heating 11,000 homes in Finland
What?
using waste heat from their Bitcoin mining operation.
Wow.
They're essentially getting paid for heat that would have been wasted.
That's incredible.
We're also seeing projects using excess solar energy,
Okay.
flare gas from oil fields,
Yeah.
and even methane from landfills to power Bitcoin mining.
It's like Bitcoin is flipping the script on energy consumption.
Yeah.
But even if we use wasted energy,
Yeah.
doesn't the sheer scale of the Bitcoin network still require massive amounts of power?
Well,
Critics often point to this as like a major drawback.
it's a valid concern,
Right.
and we need to be realistic about the environmental impact.
Mm-hmm.
Shifting towards renewable energy sources is part of the solution,
Okay.
but it's not that simple.
Right.
We need to consider the carbon footprint of the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, including the manufacturing of mining hardware and the disposal of electronic waste.
Oh, I see.
There are initiatives working on more energy-efficient equipment
Mm-hmm.
and sustainable disposal methods,
Okay.
but these are ongoing challenges.
So it's not just about where the energy comes from,
Right.
but the entire life cycle of the technology.
Exactly.
Thiel also talked about Bitcoin mining becoming more decentralized and distributed,
Yeah.
with Bitcoin chips potentially embedded in everyday devices.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't large corporations or even governments
Right.
still find ways to control a significant portion of the network?
That's a risk we need to be mindful of.
Okay.
While decentralization is one of Bitcoin's core strengths,
Right.
it's not guaranteed.
I see.
As mining becomes more sophisticated and capital intensive,
Okay.
smaller miners could get squeezed out,
Yeah.
concentrating power in the hands of a few.
Mm-hmm.
Regulations could play a role here,
Interesting.
potentially by incentivizing smaller scale mining or promoting open source hardware development.
Regulation is a whole other layer of complexity.
Oh, yeah.
Governments around the world are still figuring out how to approach Bitcoin,
It's true.
with some embracing it and others cracking down.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of regulatory landscape do we need
Right.
to foster a positive future for Bitcoin
Yeah.
while mitigating the risks?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
We need a balance between encouraging innovation and protecting consumers.
Okay.
Clear guidelines on taxation,
Mm.
anti-money laundering,
Right.
and consumer protection are essential.
Yeah.
But we need to avoid stifling innovation or driving activity underground with overly burdensome regulations.
It's a delicate balancing act, for sure.
It is.
And what about security?
Yeah.
We've seen exchanges hacked
Right.
and people losing their Bitcoin as
Yeah.
adoption grows and more value is stored in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Won't it become an even bigger target for criminals?
Security is paramount,
Oh, what?
especially as the stakes get higher. Fortunately, the underlying technology of Bitcoin itself
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly secure.
Okay.
The blockchain is designed to be tamper-proof.
Right.
The vulnerabilities lie in the points of access exchanges,
okay.
wallets, and other third-party services.
So it's not Bitcoin that's vulnerable,
No,
but the ways we interact with it?
exactly.
What can individuals do to protect themselves?
Choosing reputable exchanges and wallets is key.
Okay.
Do your research and opt for platforms with strong security measures.
Got it.
But it goes beyond that.
Okay.
Educate yourself about best practices,
Okay.
strong passwords,
Mm-hmm.
two-factor authentication,
Right.
and consider using hardware wallets to store large amounts of Bitcoin offline.
Security is a shared responsibility then.
Yeah,
We can't just rely on institutions.
right.
We need to be proactive in protecting our own digital assets.
I agree.
But what about the social implications
Yeah.
of widespread Bitcoin adoption?
Okay.
Could it worsen existing inequalities or even create new ones?
It's a valid concern.
Okay.
Like any powerful technology,
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin can be used for good or bad.
Right.
There's a risk that early adopters and those with greater resources could accumulate significant wealth
Okay.
while others are left behind.
So the digital divide could widen even further.
It could.
What can we do to ensure the benefits of Bitcoin are shared more equitably?
Education is crucial.
Okay.
We need to demystify Bitcoin
Mm.
and make it accessible to everyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their background or technical expertise.
Right.
Financial literacy programs,
Right.
community workshops, and peer-to-peer education
Yeah.
can empower people to participate in the Bitcoin economy.
It's about leveling the playing field and giving everyone the opportunity to benefit.
Exactly.
But let's be honest.
Okay.
Many people remain skeptical of Bitcoin.
Right.
They see it as volatile and speculative,
Mhm.
a bubble waiting to burst.
Yeah.
How do we address that skepticism?
Skepticism is healthy.
Okay.
It's important to question and challenge new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We address it through education,
Okay.
transparency,
Yeah.
and open dialogue.
Right.
Show people how Bitcoin works,
Got it.
explain the underlying principles,
Mm-hmm.
and address their concerns head on.
So it's about having those conversations,
Yeah.
meeting people where they are,
Right.
and helping them understand the potential.
Absolutely.
But even if we overcome all these hurdles,
Right.
what does a Bitcoin-powered world actually look like?
Mhm.
Is it a utopia of financial empowerment
Okay.
or a dystopian nightmare where the wealthy elite control everything?
That's the big unknown.
Yeah,
The future isn't predetermined.
right.
It's shaped by the choices we make today.
I see.
Bitcoin has the potential to be a force for good,
Okay,
but it's not a magic bullet.
right.
It's a tool,
Mhm.
and like any tool,
Right.
it could be used for both constructive and destructive purposes.
So the future of Bitcoin is in our hands.
It is.
It's up to us to determine whether it becomes a force for liberation or oppression,
Yeah.
innovation or exploitation.
Mhm.
That's a profound responsibility.
It is.
How do we navigate such complex and uncertain terrain?
It starts with asking the right questions,
Okay.
engaging in thoughtful debate,
Mm-hmm.
and considering the potential consequences of our actions.
Right.
We need to approach Bitcoin with both optimism and caution,
I see.
a willingness to experiment,
Okay.
and a commitment to learning from our mistakes.
Yeah.
This is a journey we're all on together,
Right.
and the destination is far from certain.
We've explored the incredible potential of Bitcoin to revolutionize finance,
Yeah.
energy, and technology, but also uncovered the significant challenges and uncertainties ahead.
It's a complex and evolving landscape.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
It is.
In the final part of this episode,
Okay.
we'll shift gears from the macro to the micro.
Okay.
We'll explore how Bitcoin is already impacting individuals and communities around the world,
Sounds good.
sharing stories of empowerment,
Okay.
innovation, and
Mhm.
resilience.
Cool.
Make sure you stick around for part 3.
Oh, well.
So we've spent like the last 2 parts of this deep dive discussing Bitcoin's potential to revolutionize everything from global finance
Yeah.
to, energy consumption.
Right.
But now I kind of want to bring things down to earth,
Okay.
so to speak.
All right.
Let's look at how Bitcoin is already changing lives
Mhm.
on a more individual,
Yeah.
everyday level.
It's easy to get lost in the big picture stuff,
Right.
but the real magic of Bitcoin is how people are using it right now
Mm-hmm.
to solve very real problems.
You're right. And I think that's what ultimately gets people excited about this technology.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a concrete example?
Sure.
What kind of problems is Bitcoin solving for
Yeah.
individuals and communities?
Take remittances, for instance. Millions of people around the world rely on sending money back home to their families,
Right.
but traditional remittance services often charge high fees,
Yeah.
take days to process,
Mm-hmm.
and aren't available in many regions.
Right.
Bitcoin can change all that.
So we're talking about cutting out the middleman
Exactly.
and making these crucial transfers faster,
Yeah.
cheaper, and more accessible.
Exactly.
Imagine being able to send money to your family
Yeah.
across borders
Right.
almost instantly
Yeah.
with minimal fees, regardless of whether you or they have a bank account.
That's right.
That's the power of Bitcoin.
It is.
Are there other areas where Bitcoin is promoting financial inclusion like this?
Yeah. Microfinance is another great example.
Okay, how so?
Bitcoin makes it possible to make small loans directly to individuals and businesses
Yeah.
without going through traditional financial institutions,
Right.
which can be very difficult to access in many parts of the world.
So we're talking about empowering people to start their own businesses,
Yeah.
invest in their education, or simply improve their standard of living.
Exactly.
And it's not just about financial empowerment.
Right.
Bitcoin is also being used to increase transparency and accountability in areas like humanitarian aid
Yeah,
and charitable giving.
it's true.
Okay. How does that work?
Well, think about traditional aid organizations.
Okay.
It's often really hard to track where the money goes
Right.
and ensure it's actually reaching the intended recipients. There's a real lack of transparency.
Yeah, I see that.
But with Bitcoin, every single transaction is recorded on the blockchain,
Okay.
creating a permanent and completely auditable trail.
So donors can finally have confidence that their money is being used effectively
Exactly.
and hold these organizations accountable.
That's right.
It's like a built-in system of checks and balances.
It is.
And it's not just big organizations.
No.
Individuals can also use Bitcoin to directly support causes they care about, whether it's funding independent journalism,
Yeah.
disaster relief efforts, or even creative projects.
Right.
It's about cutting out the middleman and connecting people directly.
I agree.
It sounds like Bitcoin gives individuals a whole new level of agency.
It does.
It's not just about personal finances,
Right.
but having a direct impact on the things that matter to you.
Absolutely.
It's about taking control of your own financial destiny.
It is.
And that's ultimately what makes Bitcoin so compelling,
Yeah.
both on the individual level and the global scale.
That's right.
We're talking about a fundamental shift in power dynamics.
We are.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities,
Yeah.
but let's be realistic.
Okay.
We're still in the early stages of this Bitcoin revolution, and
Right.
there are bound to be bumps along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think what we've learned in this deep dive is that this technology has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways. From the way we manage our finances to the way we think about energy and community.
It's about more than just a new form of currency.
Right.
It's about reimagining the very systems that govern our lives.
And that's what makes this conversation so crucial.
Yeah.
We need to be asking these questions, exploring the potential benefits and risks,
Right.
and shaping the future of this technology together.
It's an ongoing conversation.
Right.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Well said. And that's where we'll leave it for today.
Okay.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a new perspective on Bitcoin,
Yeah.
its potential and its challenges. Keep exploring, keep asking questions,
Right.
and most importantly,
Okay.
keep thinking critically about the future we're building together.
I agree.
Until next time, deep divers.
See ya.